Good morning. Welcome to this practice of living easily. We'll explore how to move through your day with greater flow, less resistance, and a lighter touch. This isn't about escaping life's challenges, but rather learning to dance with them more gracefully. Let's begin where you are. Notice your current state, your thoughts, feelings, and physical sensations. There's no need to change anything. Simply acknowledge what's present. Consider that this moment is complete exactly as it is. Nothing needs to be added or taken away. This completeness extends to you as well. You are whole regardless of what you do or don't accomplish today. Imagine that life moves like water, flowing around obstacles rather than fighting against them. When you encounter resistance today, you might experiment with flowing like water. Instead of pushing harder, look for the natural openings and pathways. Think of times when things felt easy, when actions flowed naturally, when solutions appeared without struggle, when you felt in harmony with life's rhythm. These moments weren't accidents. They revealed your natural capacity for ease. Consider that struggle often comes from arguing with reality, wishing things were different than they are. But what if you could meet each moment with acceptance first? Not passive resignation, but a clear seeing of what is before deciding how to respond. Picture yourself moving through your day with the lightness of a leaf on the wind. The leaf doesn't fight its journey. It rides the currents of air, trusting in the support that's always there. You too are supported by forces larger than yourself. Remember that ease doesn't mean everything goes your way. It means you remain flexible, adaptable, ready to adjust your course when needed. Like a tree that bends in strong winds rather than standing rigid and risking a break. Consider that living easily isn't about controlling outcomes. It's about showing up fully for each moment, bringing your best self, then letting go of attachment to results. You can care deeply while holding things lightly. Think about the difference between forcing and allowing. When you force, you create tension and resistance. When you allow, you open space for natural solutions to emerge. Notice where you might be forcing things in your life. Imagine conducting your daily activities with the fluid grace of a dancer. Each movement flows naturally into the next. There's effort, yes, but it's effort without strain. Like the difference between clenching your fist and gently holding something precious. Consider that ease often comes from alignment, when your actions match your values and natural rhythms. Notice what activities energize you versus drain you. How might you align more of your day with your natural flow? Remember times when you overcomplicated things that could have been simple. We all do this. Notice if you're making anything harder than it needs to be. Where could you simplify? What could you let go of? Think about the role of trust in living easily. Trust in yourself, in the basic goodness of life, in the unfolding of things. When you trust, you can relax your grip on controlling everything. Notice where you might trust more. Consider that ease often comes from presence. When you're fully in the moment, you're not carrying the weight of past regrets or future worries. You're simply here, responding to what's actually happening now. Imagine approaching challenges with curiosity rather than resistance. Instead of thinking, "This shouldn't be happening," ask, "What's possible here?" Or, "What can I learn from this?" Notice how this shift changes your experience. Remember that living easily doesn't mean avoiding difficult emotions. It means creating space for all experiences to move through you naturally, without getting stuck, like clouds passing through the vast sky of your awareness. Think about the power of small adjustments. Just as a slight shift in posture can release tension in your body, small shifts in perspective can create more ease in your life. Notice where subtle adjustments might help things flow better. Consider that ease often comes from accepting your own humanity. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all figured out. You can be a work in progress and still be worthy of love and respect. Imagine approaching your responsibilities with a spirit of play rather than burden. Even serious tasks can be approached with lightness. Notice how this shift affects your energy and effectiveness. Remember that living easily isn't about doing less. It's about doing things differently. It's about finding the path of least resistance while still moving toward what matters to you. Think about the difference between pushing against life and dancing with it. When you push, you create opposition. When you dance, you move in harmony with what's happening, even if it's not what you expected. Consider that ease often comes from good boundaries. When you know your limits and honor them, you prevent unnecessary struggle. Notice where better boundaries might create more ease in your life. Imagine moving through your day with the efficiency of water finding its path downhill. Not forcing, not rushing, but flowing naturally toward your destinations. Notice how this image affects your sense of time and urgency. Remember that living easily doesn't mean never experiencing stress or challenge. It means maintaining your center even in difficult times, like a deep-rooted tree swaying in the wind. Think about the role of preparation in creating ease. When you've done the groundwork, things flow more naturally. Notice where better preparation might prevent unnecessary struggle. Consider that ease often comes from letting go of perfectionism. Good enough is often truly good enough. Notice where perfectionism might be creating unnecessary tension in your life. Imagine approaching your goals like a sailor working with the wind, sometimes tacking back and forth rather than going straight ahead, but always making progress. Notice how this perspective might reduce struggle. Remember that living easily isn't about avoiding responsibility. It's about carrying responsibilities with grace rather than strain. Like a strong container that holds much without breaking. Think about the difference between resistance and discernment. You can say no to things that don't serve you while still maintaining inner ease. Notice where you might be confusing necessary boundaries with unnecessary resistance. Consider that ease often comes from good timing. Sometimes waiting is more effective than forcing. Notice where better timing might create more flow in your life. Imagine bringing a sense of spaciousness to your schedule. Like leaving margins in a book, these spaces allow for natural rhythm and flow. Notice where you might create more spaciousness in your day. Remember that living easily doesn't mean never making effort. It means making effort in alignment with natural principles rather than against them. Like rowing with the current rather than against it. Think about the role of rest in creating ease. Regular renewal prevents burnout and maintains flow. Notice where better rest might support more ease in your life. Consider that ease often comes from good systems and habits. When helpful behaviors become automatic, they require less effort. Notice where better systems might reduce unnecessary friction. Imagine approaching problems with the patience of a gardener rather than the urgency of a firefighter. Some solutions need time to grow. Notice how this perspective might reduce stress and struggle. Remember that living easily isn't about avoiding growth or challenge. It's about growing in sustainable ways, like a tree adding rings gradually rather than forcing years of growth into days. Think about the difference between controlling and influencing. When you try to control everything, you create tension. When you focus on influence, you work with natural forces rather than against them. Consider that ease often comes from good relationships. When you're well supported and connected, everything flows better. Notice where nurturing relationships might create more ease in your life. Imagine moving through your day with the deliberate grace of a martial artist, present, centered, responding fluidly to whatever arises. Notice how this image affects your approach to challenges. Remember that living easily doesn't mean never feeling fear or doubt. It means holding these emotions lightly rather than letting them control your actions. Like clouds passing through the sky, they can move through without defining you. Think about the role of perspective in creating ease. Often, struggle comes from how we see things rather than the things themselves. Notice where a shift in perspective might reduce unnecessary tension. Consider that ease often comes from alignment with your values. When your actions match your deeper principles, there's less inner conflict. Notice where better alignment might create more flow in your life. Imagine approaching change with the adaptability of nature, neither rushing nor resisting, but moving in harmony with natural cycles. Notice how this perspective might reduce struggle with transitions. Remember that living easily isn't about having an easy life. It's about moving through life's complexities with grace and wisdom, like a skilled navigator charting a course through varying waters. Think about the difference between urgency and importance. Not everything that feels urgent is truly important. Notice where false urgency might be creating unnecessary stress in your life. Consider that ease often comes from good self-care. When you maintain your well-being, you have more capacity to handle challenges. Notice where better self-care might support more ease in your life. Imagine bringing a sense of abundance to your approach to time. There is time enough for what truly matters. Notice how this perspective might reduce rushing and create more flow. Remember that living easily doesn't mean never making mistakes. It means holding your imperfections lightly and learning from them naturally, like a river that simply flows around obstacles rather than fighting them. Think about the role of acceptance in creating ease. Fighting reality creates tension. Accepting what is creates space for effective action. Notice where acceptance might reduce unnecessary struggle. Consider that ease often comes from good priorities. When you're clear about what matters most, decisions become simpler. Notice where clearer priorities might create more flow in your life. Imagine moving through your day with the natural rhythm of the tides, sometimes advancing, sometimes receding, but always in flow with larger patterns. Notice how this perspective might reduce resistance to natural cycles. Remember that living easily isn't about having everything figured out. It's about being comfortable with uncertainty while still moving forward. Like a bird on the wind, trusting in its ability to navigate changing conditions. Think about the difference between striving and allowing. Sometimes the harder you try, the more elusive your goal becomes. Notice where letting go of striving might actually create better results. Consider that ease often comes from good boundaries with technology. When you control your devices rather than letting them control you, life flows better. Notice where better tech boundaries might create more ease. Imagine approaching problems with the creativity of an artist rather than the rigidity of a machine. There are usually multiple solutions if you stay flexible. Notice how this perspective might reduce stress when facing challenges. Remember that living easily isn't about avoiding commitment. It's about committing from a place of choice rather than pressure, like a river that naturally follows its course while remaining free-flowing. Think about the role of gratitude in creating ease. When you appreciate what's going well, you create a foundation of well-being that supports everything else. Notice where gratitude might reduce unnecessary tension. Consider that ease often comes from good energy management. When you match your activities to your natural energy cycles, everything flows better. Notice where better energy management might create more ease. Imagine bringing a sense of curiosity to difficult situations. Instead of rushing to fix or avoid, simply explore what's present. Notice how this perspective might reduce reactive tension. Remember that living easily isn't about always being happy. It's about moving through all emotions with grace and understanding, like the sky that holds all weather without resistance. Think about the difference between productivity and presence. Sometimes being fully present is more important than getting things done. Notice where prioritizing presence might actually improve your effectiveness. Consider that ease often comes from good financial practices. When your resources are well managed, you have more capacity for what matters. Notice where better financial habits might create more flow. Imagine approaching your goals like a gardener rather than a builder, creating conditions for natural growth rather than forcing outcomes. Notice how this perspective might reduce unnecessary pressure. Remember that living easily isn't about avoiding difficulty. It's about maintaining your center even in challenging times, like a mountain that remains stable regardless of the weather. As we conclude this practice, carry with you the understanding that living easily is always available to you. It's not something you achieve once and for all, but rather a way of being that you can return to again and again. Remember that each moment offers a fresh opportunity to choose ease over struggle, flow over resistance, grace over force. This choice is always yours to make. May you move through your day with natural grace, meeting each moment with presence and wisdom. May you find the path of ease in all you do. Thank you for sharing this practice. Until we meet again,